We welcome to the show Gerard Kenny. How's it going?
Very, very good, and how are you?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. So you're performing at Chequer Mead on Saturday the 2nd of March. What can people expect at the show?
Well, the thing is, first let me just get through. We don't have a grant. We don't have anything. We have to make as much money as we can to keep it going. We've got the kids that we give the dancing lessons to and acting lessons to. The older folks get to go and do ballroom dancing, and they get to play cards at night. We really have a lot of things that we help the community out with, and it's our community theater, and we need our community to come and help. That's the main thing. That's why we're doing this in the first place. We do pretty well with the panto, and there's a couple of acts that help, but we constantly need, because it's we have no other way of keeping going unless we get bums on seats for our shows.
Yeah,
We got to pay people. A lot of people volunteer. But about 9 years ago, when I did it, the people who were running it, it went all pear-shaped, and the wolves came to the door, and they took the piano and the sound system and everything else. Now, here's a wonderful part of the story. They were so mean, these people, that they only gave a very small amount of money for the piano and for the sound system and everything else. They really were very mean. So when I was approached to do a concert, I did a couple of concerts, and we raised enough money to buy back. I bought back the piano, and I bought back the sound system and everything else. And the thing is, what was so funny is that because they had been so mean on what they gave us for the piano and everything else, that we were able to buy it back for a very small amount of money. Let me just tell you something. It's a concert grand Yamaha, and I think they gave about £1,500 against the bill for it because they were so mean. So we bought it back. And if they'd been smart, I mean, that piano's worth $40,000.
Yeah.
And the sound system's wonderful. It's got 1,000 watts per channel. I mean, it's really good stereo sound. It's really very, very good. I've done their curtains for them. I just bought the new cyclorama for them last year. I'm trying to help, because this is where the kids get to go and dance and act and sing. And
where it all starts, isn't it?
But it's for the community. That's the thing. It's our community. It's what we do for our area, and we want the best we can for the people who live around here. The older people get to go, and they do a little bit of ballroom dancing. They do the quiz. They get to play. They get to play cards together. It's things that can happen where people can go, and it doesn't cost them any money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in these days where things are so expensive,
you need that.
And also, I mean, not only expensive, but I mean, it's very, very tough these days because we're in a recession as it is, and if we can help the people in our community, I think that's what we should be doing.
Definitely, I agree.
There you go. So all the people listening, please come and see me, and I'll be singing all sorts of different kinds of songs, and I do wait till you see me do it. I got a ragtime number that I do that you won't believe my little tiny fingers can do it, because I got really little hands, But I do all sorts of things, So please come along and see the show and help us, because we need as much money as we can to keep going. With the bills that we have and for our theater, and so many people volunteer, and so many people. It's so great, and it would be a real help if people came to see the show and helped us with keep our wonderful theater alive.
And have a great night too.
And have a fun night, yes.
Yeah. I'll be coming. It sounds like a good night.
Oh, great. That's great. But, of course, myself, I mean, I have written a lot of different songs. I've written songs for Barry Manilow. I Made It Through the Rain, and I wrote the theme for The Minder, and I had a song called New York, New York, so good.
Know that one.
Remember that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've had a few songs. So what I do is I sort of play things that I really that I've written, and also a lot of the songs of the great writers that I love. I mean, I can do Cole Porter, and I can do Elton John, I can do Billy Joel, I can do things like that. So it sort of gives everybody something that they would like.
Sounds good. Your first chart success, as you mentioned it, was New York, New York. So good they named it twice. What was it like when you first achieved your first chart hit?
Well, I got to tell you this. I had only been in London a month, and I was recording, and that was one of the ones that we recorded, and we recorded about 3 or 4 songs, and they decided, RCA said, okay, let's put out a single and see what we can do. And we had a meeting on RCA, and we played 2 or 3 of the songs, and I agreed with them. New York, New York. Oh, that's great because it's got such a lovely, crazy thing with the New York, New York, and all that. I said it's different. Well, it came out and it was the highest climber in the charts that week. Now I'm only in London a week, and I got no idea. They're taking me to some place called White City, and I'm going to do a show called, what was it called? Top of the Pops. And to tell you the truth, I didn't know what Top of the Pops was. Now, if they had told me it was like American Bandstand, I would have understood, oh, that's the chart show. I walk into this place at the BBC, and there's Elton John, the really tall guy Tony from Spandau Ballet.
Tony Hadley.
Yeah, and the guys from Duran Duran, and I just absolutely almost fainted. It was like, oh my God. And that's the time that you had to play it live. It's just pre-Queen. Remember how they had to play Queen's video because they had overdubbed it so many times that they couldn't do it live? But we had a 25-piece choir live in the studio and the band, and we did New York, New York. And to me, it was just absolutely fantastic. Really, just what an experience. It was just, my heart was in my throat. It was just fantastic.
Definitely, and especially as you wasn't expecting it. You didn't know what the show was about. No,
it was all brand new to me. So, I mean, I did learn fast enough that, oh my God, that's Top of the Pops. Oh, wow. Because everybody was telling me, the next day, because they do it on, I think, a Tuesday, and then they play it on a different day. And so I was talking to all my friends. They were like, oh, you're going to do Top of the Pops. So we had a party at my house and for Top of the Pops to see me on the show. It was just fantastic.
I bet it was. As you mentioned, you wrote the song for Minder. So people know the song off of the TV show Minder from the 1980s. How did that come about?
Okay, this is another. I love the stories behind a song. After Dennis had finished The Sweeney, because of his fame, EMI offered him an album. So he was recording a couple of the songs. He wrote a couple of songs with friends of his, and they recorded an album, and they picked a single. And they were going to be putting out the single, and what they realized was they didn't have a B-side. Now, I'm going back. I'm going back to your audience that don't remember a B-side on a single. Remember the singles with the big zero in it? And then you had a B-side on it, A-side and B-side? So my manager who managed Dennis said, go over and go over to Dennis's house and write, a nice little song, and, we'll use it as the B-side. Because usually the B-side was sort of a throwaway song.
Yeah.
So I had this idea, listening to Dennis, that Dennis could sing a little bit sort of like that rough Joe Cocker sort of thing. And I always loved Mad Dogs and Englishmen. Now, I wanted to get like a Tower of the Power horns, and I said, well, yeah, EMI will pay for the horns. It's going to be great. So I came over with this idea of like a piece of good, sort of funky thing. We'll have fun doing it. We went in the studio. I think it was about 35, 40 minutes. We wrote the song. We went into the studio 2 days later, and because it wasn't that important, because it was only the B-side, everybody playing it was just having a good time. We just... You can hear it on the recording, how happy and how easy and how relaxed that song is. Right? Now, that's it, finished about 7 months later, right? His album didn't do too well, but about 7 months later, Houston Films offered him a brand new show called The Minder. And when they were talking about the theme, this is the Houston Films people, they said, well, you've got an album. Is there anything on there that we might be able to use? Well, they looked at the album. Then they took the single, and There Is a God. Somebody flipped it over and played the B-side of the single and said, that's it. That's what we're going to use. So when they called me and told me, I said, what, that B-side? Well, that B-side won me, at that time, which was the English Grammy, the Ivan Novello, which was given to me by Princess Margaret. I won the British Songwriter of the Year award. And 2 years ago, the public voted it as the most popular television theme song in the history of British television. It's about a Cockney. It's a Cockney thing. And guess who wrote the music? A Yank.
No, you wouldn't think it, would you?
You wouldn't think it. Isn't that funny?
Yeah. But yeah, it's a great theme, and everybody knows it. When you start singing it, they know what it's from.
Well, I tell you, it's just so recognizable. And it just happened to be that's the way it turned out. I'm very, very happy. Very happy.
Your songs have been recorded by many great artists, as you've mentioned, such as Barry Manilow, Johnny Mathis, Perry Como, and Shirley Bassey. Who are some of your favourite singers?
Well, I have to tell you, I wrote a song with Lindsay DePaul. I was asked by the the London Tourist Board was doing some kind of new publicity thing, and they wanted a new song about London. Now, so I got a call because I'm the city guy. I wrote New York, so they figured I could write something about London, right? So Lindsay and I wrote this thing called There's No Place Like London. And they got Shirley Bassey to record it. Now, this is about 1987. Shirley's very sweet, and she's very, very nice, and she's a good friend. Her office called me, and she said that she was going to be on the Royal Command, and they sent me 2 tickets to go see the Royal Command, and it was in the 7th row of the Palladium, and I'm sitting there going through the show, and I'm waiting. When is she going to come on? When is she going? The 6th or 7th performer was Shirley Bassey, and there is the Queen with Prince Philip, Prince Charles, and he was still with Princess Diana at the time, up in the box and all that. And the announcement comes through, ladies and gentlemen, Dame Shirley Bassey, and they start, ba-ba-da-ba, ba-ba. This is a 64-piece orchestra. Ba-da-ba. That's my song. My heart was in my throat, and I looked up at the Queen, and I said, "Whoa!" The Queen's sort of bopping on left and right. I said, "She likes it." I couldn't believe it. Things like that are very, very, very fantastic.
Must have been a great feeling.
Yeah, I've had there are a couple of publishers that I've spoken to that now that I'm in my old age and a granddad and all the rest of that and all the experiences that I've had from all the recordings that I've done, the places I've worked, and the people I've worked with. I mean, I was Alan J. Lerner's for the last 3 years of his life. I was Alan J. Lerner's collaborator. I was Spike Milligan's musical director for 2 years. I have done so many things in my life and traveled all over the world that I'm going to be doing a autobiography. So
that'll be an interesting book.
That should be, especially the bits about Spike, because some of the bits about Spike you wouldn't believe. Because Spike was very best friends with Prince Charles.
Really?
Oh, yes. Spike and Prince Charles are very best friends. And many a night when I played, Prince Charles came to see the show, and I got a chance to speak with Prince Charles, and he told me he loved the way I played the piano, and I gave him one of my albums, and it was very exciting, extremely exciting.
That's a big compliment, isn't it?
Oh, you see, the thing is, being a writer, I mean, I can drive, now this is true, I can drive down the street, and sometimes they play New York, and I'll be like, oh, wow, they're playing, and that's me, you know, and I love it. But you know what I love more? When somebody else sings one of my songs, and I hear that on the radio. That gives me much more of a kick than me saying, you know, it's because somebody else decided that my song was good enough that they recorded it. Now look at what happened with Barry Manilow. I mean, he sold almost 6 million copies of I Made It Through the Rain. Just incredible.
So out of the songs that are your songs that other artists have recorded, which song would you like me to play out of all them songs?
Well, I think Made It Through the Rain's pretty good. That's Barry did such a wonderful job on that.
Okay.
There's also, I don't know if you can get a copy of it, but Johnny Mathis did one of my songs called Love, and it was a really beautiful, beautiful recording. I mean, he did such a great job. There's Jack Jones. I wrote a song for him called I Am a Singer, which for the last 20 years has been his theme song. So there are things like that make me great. I was playing in a place in London called the Pheasantry, and all of a sudden I look up, and in the fourth table in front of me is Jack Jones. Now, I've known Jack for years. As a matter of fact, I've worked with Jack. And there's Jack. And I said, ladies and gentlemen, you won't believe this, because Jack was on tour, and he was going to be doing the Palladium the night in 2 nights. I said, you won't believe this, but ladies and gentlemen, my good friend Jack Jones is here. And I said, I'll bet you we can get him up, because there's a song I've written for him that he's been using as his theme song for the last 20 years called I Am a Singer. And Jack got up, and I'm playing the piano for Jack Jones, and Jack sang. And it was just one of those kind of magic nights, you know what I mean?
Maybe you could do a show with all the different singers that have sung your music.
That's not a bad idea. Let me write that one down. That's pretty good. I'm gonna have to give you a 10% finder's fee for that one.
Oh, well, that would be nice. Are you working on any new material at the moment?
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, being a writer always writes. I mean, you can't. A songwriter can't stop writing. I mean, I'll be writing until they put me in the casket. But I am working on a couple of things now that I'm excited about, because they're fun stuff. I'm trying to just write fun stuff. That's all. Things that I've always wanted to. I have no barriers now, because I'm not worried about being in the top 20. I just want to write Gerard Kenny songs. So people who like Gerard Kenny will like my songs. I don't have to worry about being, in competition with the Puff Daddy and all that kind of stuff, you know. Because I mean, I can't write that kind of stuff. That's not my bag, as they say. Because there's a couple of new things on the radio now that I really like. I can't remember, but some of these girl groups who are just absolutely fabulous. Now, I know this may be a little odd to you, but I'm sure you didn't see the Super Bowl. Now, being an American, of course, I watched the Super Bowl because it's like when you watch Wembley when they have the cup.
The FA Cup final, yeah.
For me, the Super Bowl, American football, is the same thing. That's fantastic. And I think it was Rihanna or one of those girls. You know
Rihanna. Yeah.
You should have seen that. They have the middle bit when they play, and then there's a halftime, and she did the halftime show, and I'm telling you, the halftime show was even, I thought, more exciting than the opening of the Olympics. It was incredible. I mean, they had all of these fireworks shooting up and all the girls coming out and the dancers and the this and that. It was just brilliantly done.
She puts on a really good show, Rihanna.
And she's so gorgeous. I mean, no, but this is something that really blows my mind sometimes because, it's not only can she sing well and can she write well, but not only that, she's absolutely beautiful and she can dance. She's one of the best dancers I've ever seen.
Multi-talented.
Incredible.
Yeah.
It's when somebody's got the whole thing. It's like on Broadway they call them a triple threat. Somebody who can sing and dance and act. That's a triple threat, and she's a triple threat. She can do everything.
That's a great thing to be able to do.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for joining me on the show.
You're very, very welcome, and thank you very much for having me.